Buddies, I'm back in the building. As you can see, I'm back home from my vacation, back in the Spin Center, digging into some of this Record Store Day stuff I got. But wouldn't you know, timing being what it is, I came back home to my local record show putting on an event this past weekend. So with Record Store Day still in the rear view, but also really putting a hurting for certain on my wallet, I only picked up a couple things, but I will show those to you and also share some more quality control issues. Get those oven mitts. It's a hot take alert coming. But cue the lover. I'll see you after the break. Here we are, buddies. All right, so as I said in the open, record show, my local St. Louis record show gets together. I think it's every couple months. I think it's 6 shows a year, which is great. It's not so great coming off of a big, substantial Record Store Day purchase like I had, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate. So, but you know, you gotta scratch that itch, right? You just would hate to think that those grails, those things you're looking for, were at the show and you just weren't there. Right?
I told you, young people, that crack is some bad shit.
Just took getting up a little earlier than normal to check it out this past weekend. But the good news is I'm glad I went. Didn't find a whole lot, didn't spend a whole lot, so that's good. My wallet can take a nice big sigh of relief for a little bit.
Oh, but baby.
Emphasis on a little bit. But let me show you what I picked up, and then I gotta hit. It's oven mitt season. I gotta share with you guys just the latest mind-numbing quality control issue. But let me show you what I got from the record show first.
All I need are some tasty waves, cool buzz, and I'm fine.
All right, so Shotgun Willie, Smoking Cowboy, Willie Nelson. I do have the Vinyl Me Please reissue of this, which was really well done. But that kind of opened my eyes to, man, it'd be kind of cool to get an early pressing or an original. I've only seen one in the wild so far, and that was a couple weeks ago, actually probably longer than that. When I was in Dallas at Josie Records, I did find a beat up copy, and it was very tempting. Wasn't an OG, but it was an early pressing, but I knew I just hold out, right? That's, as you're longer in the vinyl collecting game, you can exercise some patience, right? So didn't buy that copy, but my local show had this copy. Comes on that multicolor Atlantic label. Good condition, jacket's good. I'd say probably BG plus type vinyl. Good news is just barely beginning ring wear, so that's always important in these older, particularly darker color album covers. It's not a first pressing. I didn't check the matrix number. You know, if you've been to a record show, you know that it's bad. It's tough enough and can be challenging enough to open up the records and look inside just to look at the condition, let alone pulling out a light and trying to read the matrix numbers and the dead wax. It's just a no-go. It's poor form, right? So I knew it was an early pressing. Got home, looked it up. It wasn't an OG, so you know, tears of entitlement, but it is an early pressing. So I'm really happy to add this to the collection. Still on the hunt for an OG. You know, the addiction is real. So hopefully one will come along my way sooner than later. So let me show you what else I got.
What are you looking at, butthead?
All right. So one thing about my collection and my collecting is I'm really trying to collect like old 80s and 90s type of records, and horror movies or something that I found is surprisingly very hard to track down. Kind of similar to, I guess, like 80s hair metal and like heavy metal type records. It's probably a very similar audience, and a lot of the music on these horror soundtracks, if it's not synth, it's often a lot of like heavy metal, hair metal type stuff, so I guess it makes sense. But this is the soundtrack to the 5th Nightmare on Elm Street movie. This was the Dream Child movie, so-so. The soundtrack also so-so, but as you can see, this is a nice saw cut, so this is probably given out at a discount back in the day. And it's not the tell-all be-all of the series. The one I'm really looking for is the original Nightmare on Elm Street soundtrack, which, you know, buyer's remorse or lack of buyer's remorse. A couple years ago, I probably could have got it well under $100. Nowadays, with the way that the hobby is going and prices keep going up and up and up, forget about it, right? So got a nice price on this one. I figure it's a good starting point. If you've seen other videos, you know, I've got like the original Halloween soundtrack and stuff like that. So this is like a little niche that I'm trying to really build up in my collection. But nice price. I bought this from the same person who had the Shotgun Willie record, so I got a nice little deal for doing a little bundling, a little Frank Fritz style.
We're going for the mega bundle here.
But on the lookout for more of these and more horror soundtracks. So Discogs, I'm already got you on high alert. Just keep hunting, right? All right, so this was not something I picked up at the show. Matter of fact, I went to one of my local stores before the show, actually the day before when I got back in town, just curious at what kind of record store day leftovers were hanging around, if there's anything cool in the bins, and actually found this, again, not an OG press, this Grateful Dead record. I would try to pronounce it, but I mean, I'm going to butcher it. So all I know is it had Saint Stephen, which is one of their kind of seminal hits. And if you've seen my previous videos, you know that I'm kind of dipping my toes in this Grateful Dead bathwater and getting familiar with their catalog and that sort of thing. So came on the an older style Warner Brothers green label. Vinyl's in really nice condition, just like that Shotgun Willie record. You know, just barely having a little ring wear, so I caught it at the right time. I mean, this is like early to mid 70s kind of stuff. So to find it in this condition is a big win. Just slowly but surely building that back catalog and the early Dead stuff, particularly when they were kind of in that creative zenith of the early 70s. So I was happy to add this. It's a reasonable price. Like, again, the COVID tax of the last couple of years and more and more people getting into the hobby, a great thing in a lot of ways, but keeps driving the prices of the used vinyl up. So anytime I can find something that's close to 50 years old for this type of, you know, again, less than 20 bucks, it's a great pickup. So happy to add this to the collection. All right, I'm gonna take a little detour before I get in my quality control rant. So I did pick up this Slipknot record, the self-titled reissue. I was really excited to see the reissuing this catalog. I know a lot of other folks in the VC share that same excitement. Came on this nice highlighter yellow-ish wax. Unfortunately, as I was kind of worried about when I saw that it was only going to be on one disc, sound quality, at least on my setup, just wasn't there. It was okay. I mean, I'm guessing it's like the greatest hits of what you really aren't looking for. And something like this, probably sourced from a digital source. The mastering, it's okay. The price was great. I mean, Slipknot and their label that's been putting this out have done a nice job of keeping it very price competitive and even a bettering price as prices continue to go up. I mean, I got this for less than $20. Again, a nice, sweet price point. But threw it on last night when I was cleaning and sleeving, and I gotta be honest, I was just really disappointed. So I've already got pre-orders in for the next 2 records that are coming out. I think Iowa is coming out sometime this month in May, but I'm expecting more of the same. So buyer beware. I'm not saying it sounds terrible, but I'm sure not saying it sounds great. It's just kind of like meh. So if you're a fan of the band, cool, and you always wanted the catalog on vinyl, even better. But I really, really wish this sounded better. I had high hopes, and here we are again. Should have known better. So, all right, so I'm going to conclude today's video. Got the oven mitt ready. The hot take on QC. And you've seen my other videos, hopefully by now. If you hadn't, please feel free to check some of those juicy nuggets of content. But the long and the short of it, and if you've been in the hobby for a while, you're an avid collector, or even if you're new to the hobby, I'm certain of it, deep down in my soul, that you have experienced quality control issues. And what I mean by that is maybe the sound's not great, maybe the record skips, it's warped right out of the package, and I'm talking about new vinyl to be more specific. But previous video, I had some QC issues with the Acoustic Sounds UHQR Jimi Hendrix entry, which, by the way, side note, they sent me a replacement. It's A+, flat as a pancake, couldn't be happier. So Acoustic Sounds, tip of the cap, because if it's not right, they will make it right. I even said in that video from previous experience, I had complete faith that it would work out, and it did. So thank you guys, Chad and team.
So we've just been doing the best we can.
Sincerely appreciate that. But back to the hot take alert, back to the oven mitt situation. So I got home, opening my record store day stuff, sleeving it, opening and sleeving. And I got to be honest, it was a very, very high percentage of records that were, fortunately, in good shape, flat, all that good stuff, the most important stuff. But the outer edge, like, I don't know what machines are cutting this, or if they're just cutting these records so quickly that they're not really examining it. But I gotta be honest, if I needed a pair of scissors to cut something, or if I needed a knife to trim something down, I don't need to rush out and go to Amazon and buy those tools anymore. I'm just gonna use some of these new records because those edges are so sharp. I mean, you can do some damage, like literally. Like, it's not even that you're paying these prices for the records, but I mean, just the blocking and tackling, the easy stuff. And when you open it up, and it's no surprise, it makes a lot more sense to me that when you're opening a brand new record and that inner sleeve, as you're pulling it out, usually a lyric or a picture sleeve, it's already got splits in it. And for a while I was thinking, well, it's got to be this heavier vinyl and it shifts around in transit and they're probably using a lesser stock paper. I think I've come to the realization, and also talking with other folks in the vinyl community, that it's these quality control just from the cutting of the records. These edges are so sharp that it's going to happen more times than not. And again, the manufacturing folks totally get it. Like, it's a numbers game, and I appreciate them working hard. It's nothing like that, but I mean, just it's bewildering to me that the edges of these records are so like sharp. Like, if you go back to records made in the 80s and 70s and beforehand, nice and smooth. Every once in a while, maybe you've got a little like sharp edge, but more and more as I'm buying new records and a lot of these reissues, and the rush to meet demand is really just jumping a couple steps in QC. So consider this a hot take, but also consider it as a safety warning, because the last thing you want to do is open a record, and if you're not paying attention, all of a sudden, forget a paper cut. Why don't you get one of these vinyl cuts that'll cut you from tip to top? So, but I must have opened and sleeved, I'm going to call it 6 or 7 records overall, and I'd say about 4 or 5 of them had a nice sharp edge on there. It just blew my mind. So just needed to vent. You've probably quit watching the video at this point, from the Hot Take Center, but what do you guys think? Are you guys seeing this too? Surely it cannot be isolated to me and just a few folks in the VCO I've had this conversation with. So are you seeing this in abundance? What do you think about it? Don't you think for paying these prices that keep going up and up and up, shouldn't the quality control just be a little bit tighter? I think so. Tell me what you think. I appreciate all my new subscribers that have jumped on in the last couple weeks. I'm marching to 100. I can't believe people actually enjoy this stuff. So I really appreciate it, and I appreciate the fellowship that comes with the vinyl community. I can't say it enough. I could say it in every video, but it'd just be redundant. But thank you for taking the time to check this out. And if you're not getting cut up by new vinyl, or if you're not trying to butter some toast or anything like that with a new record, if you get the chance, just spin it. I'll see you next time.
Well, well, well. How the turntables...
Well, we out of time.